Hi everyone, this video will help you with the chamfer block. The first thing we want to do is we want to change our units. So go into Document Settings, drop that menu down, go to Units, and click on the one with the pencil, the icon with the pencil. And you should see this menu here. Change your unit type. It was previously set to millimeter. Change it to inches, and click OK. Now, to make the chamfer block, we're going to use a rectangle and we're going to draw it vertically, just a small one. I'm going to go ahead and put dimensions on this. The top line, the width should be 0.5, and the total height should be 1.5, and this is in inches. Use my mouse wheel to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to draw a second rectangle from the bottom corner outward like an L shape. Height of this one is going to be 0.5 again. The overall width of the two together should be 1.5. Now, in order to get this to extrude the way I want, I'm going to just to make sure, I'm going to use my modify tool, trim the scissors, and I'm going to delete a line, separate these two rectangles. So now it is one part. It kept all my dimensions. Don't worry about the warning. Everything should be fine. So now we're going to finish sketch. I'm going to rotate it using the cube, clicking on the upper corner to an isometric view. And then we are going to extrude this part. So click extrude. And I believe it's 1.5. So we extrude the part 1.5 inches. And now we have an L-shaped block. I'm going to leave it in this view for now as we apply these chamfers. Now, first of all, we need to know what a chamfer is. Kind of like a fillet, it is a treatment or a modification of an edge. And so instead of rounding the edge off, we're actually going to cut the edge off at an angle. You may see this, you may have referred to this at some point as a bevel. It's kind of like beveled glass, where the edges have been cut off at angles. So that's what we're looking at. So we're going to use the modify tool and drop that menu down. And the third one is chamfer. So I'm going to click on chamfer. I'm going to select this top edge. Now the chamfer, there's a couple of different types of chamfers, okay? For this first one, I want to do a 0.125 chamfer. I guess I got to select the edge, okay? Let's try that again. Chamfer. It is not. There it is. Okay, so my menu was closed. I apologize. Let's try that again. Modify, select chamfer. Notice I have two distances. I want to set the first one to equal distance. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to set that distance to 0.125 and hit enter. And so you can see it just kind of cut off the corner. Dog ear is another term they'll use, like for fence boards and things like that. It's just been cut off. They don't, I shouldn't have used the phrase dog ear. I don't want you to think they're talking about cutting the dog's ears off. That's not what we're talking about. Okay. If you are marking your place in a book that you're reading, you might fold the corner down. That is a dog ear. So if you think about dogs, especially like my dogs, I have two pit bulls, when they raise their ears up, they flop over a little bit, right? And so the corner flops down and creates an angle. That's what we're referring to. Sorry for the confusion with that colloquial expression. Okay. That's the first one. The second chamfer is going to be on the bottom edge. It is 0.25 by 0.375. So we have two different measurements. So when I apply a chamfer here, I'm going to go to chamfer again. I'm going to change the chamfer type to 2 distances. And I'm going to click on this edge. And now I have a choice of 2 distances. My first one's 0.25. My second one is 0.375. And then I click OK. So this is what we have now. It's been cut off. The last thing we have to do is we're going to put a fillet here at the back. So we're going to put in a fillet. I'm going to click this back seam, and the fillet is going to be 0.125. And that is the chamfer block. So I'm going to save that part. Chamfer block. Now to create a drawing sheet, we go to Drawings, Design, Drawing. Okay. That is not the front. That's just a square. So I need to change it from front. Let's try top. Yeah, that looks good. So that's going to be my top view. It's a little small, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to 2:1. That's too big. So let's do 1.5 to 1. So I'm going to click there. Click OK. That's what we want to see. That's our front view. Next thing, we're going to right-click, Projected View, click on the part. There's the top. There's the isometric, and there's the front. Click OK. The isometric view needs to be shaded, so I'm going to hover over the isometric view, Edit View. It says Select View, there it is. I'm going to click the third button, or the fourth button. I'm going to click this one here that's shaded, and close. That's what we want to see for our drawing sheet. Now we need to add dimensions. In other CAD programs, there might be a special dimension that you would use called a chamfer dimension, but we don't have that in Fusion. So we're just going to dimension it like we would normal linear dimensions. So the first thing we're going to do is get the overall height and the overall width and the overall depth. That's always the first thing you should do. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the width of this part. We're going to do the width of this, or the height of this part. And I hit escape, and I'm going to drag this up. I should have moved it further out before. Drag that up and out of the way a little bit. Same thing here. I'm going to drag it out of the way just a little bit. And I want to zoom in with a mouse wheel because this is where it's going to get tricky. I've got to dimension the length of this line and the length of this line. So it's going to get kind of tight in here. So let's see. We want to just pull this line, 0.38. Now, that's not 0.38. I didn't set it at 0.38. So what I'm going to need to do, remember, I just used the chamfers. I used a 0.25 or 0.125 for each chamfer. I need to have 3 decimal places. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to click on this number, double click on that number, and I get a menu that pops up. I'm going to change the precision. Primary precision, right now it's set for 2 decimal places. I want 3. So look at my number. My number changed to 0.375. So 2 things to note. We need 3 decimal places, number 1. Number 2, Fusion was rounding to 0.38 before. So Fusion will round for you if you need it to. I'd prefer to see the whole number. Now, in theory, all of these numbers should be a precision of 3 if one of them is. But notice I set it for a precision of 3, but it does not give me 2 tail zeros. That's just part of the program. The next thing we want to do is we want to dimension. We want to dimension from here to here. We want this, I apologize. We want from this corner to here. That's what we want. Just short of that chamfer. Once again, hit escape, double click on the number, change the precision to 3. Okay, so we're done with that chamfer. The next thing we need to do is this bottom chamfer. There should be 2 different numbers for this one. This number that we typed in, 0.25, and then the distance from here to here. Once again, this number needs to be 3 decimal places. Now, I don't really like where that is, and you'll see why in just a second. So there's a couple of things that I could change if I needed to. Because this number refers to this piece, which is part of this chamfer, I could move this number over here. I think that's what I'm going to do. That way you can see the numbers as they're related to each other. And I know we get a little bit of crossing over here, but we'll see why that's okay in a minute. I'm going to do the same thing here. If I can pull it. There we go. And then the final thing that I'm going to put in will be the radius for that fillet. Once again, I need 3 decimal places because I typed in 3 numbers, 3 digits. This is one way to dimension it. Now, there's some other ways you can manipulate how these chamfer numbers line up, but this one will do for our purposes. All right, good luck.